So what happened, we ended up buying 4 tires. I don't know what changed this guy's mind in this last year, but we bought the 4 tires and ended up buying 4 more from him 6 months later for $700 apiece. So I think I've got the only 8 with wheels in the country. In the back of my mind, I did want to prove that I had the biggest truck. I've never tried to, with my trucks, I've never claimed to be the biggest or the tallest or the widest or anything else. But the first time we put these tires on the truck, it was really for some pictures, and we were going to take them off and never use them again. But we decided to put them on a truck for the four-wheel and off-road jamboree one year, and it really worked out neat because there was at least 5 other monster trucks with signs in front of their vehicles, world's largest monster truck. And I just had to drive past these guys and look down on their vehicles. You know, it was all in fun. But, the truck's been pretty popular. I really can't take the tires off. I leave them mounted all the time out in front of the shop when a truck's not being used. Bigfoot 5, its main thing is to be on display at all times. We have busloads of school kids come in, and they look at the truck. They go through the shop. It brings a lot of people in, brings a lot of truck drivers that are, you know, they take their kids with them as they're going through St. Louis, and they stop here. It's been good for our shop, and it's been good for Bigfoot.
Now let's talk about that tire walk. Was this your brainchild, or did somebody suggest this?
Oh, years back in Casper, Wyoming, I was doing a show with Bigfoot number 4, I believe, with 5-foot tires. And I was looking for something to kind of add to my stadium shows, kind of keep the crowd interested. And I started tire walking on the 5-foot tires, which is not a big problem. You know, they're much smaller. And I was at the Seattle Kingdom, and I figured, no, if it works with the small truck, why don't it work with the big truck? I had another guy drive the truck and watch what I was doing. We practiced this before the show, of course. And you can do it, and I do it, but it's very difficult because of the tire being 10 foot tall. You actually are kind of hung out in the wind there for a while before you come over, and your gravity starts holding you to the tire as you come out. So you have to grab the tire with your arms and your legs and squeeze with all your might until you come over the breakover point, and gravity takes over and holds you to the tire and come up.
I must admit, the first time I saw it on videotape, I thought, well, that doesn't look that scary. Until I had actually gotten in the truck and realized how far up in the air I was. Then it became very scary.
It is. The biggest problem to figure out is once I leave the truck to jump on the ground to come back up, I had to figure out a way I could physically leave the truck without getting in the way of the rotating tires, climb down along the chassis, get on the ground, then grab the tire and come back up. It's a long way. You don't just step out the door and jump, that's for sure.
Bigfoot number 5 is certainly the most impressive in terms of overall size, but what about the pure power and the fast-paced action delivered by the other members of the Bigfoot family? When we return, we'll take a gut-wrenching, bone-crushing look at the competitive side of Bigfoot, king of the monster truck. Up Up until a few years ago, monster trucks were considered exhibition vehicles reserved for intermission-type events, but no longer. Monster truck racing is a highly competitive motorsport, and by the very nature of that motorsport, monster truck racing is unpredictable and always changing. How long did it take you to get acclimated to like the hydraulic rear steering and to get acclimated to driving the truck in the race?
It takes a lot of time. You can master these things at a slow speed very easily. Anyone, I could take you, for instance, out in the field, and in 2 hours' time, I could have you turning circles and doing just about what you want at a relatively low speed. To be able to do this and keep a truck in control in a race situation is a whole different story. There's so much weight moving around at speed and everything, you just can't touch that rear steering and utilize it like you think you could. You have to be very careful when you use it because it couldn't effectively just kind of flip the truck over before you know it. So it takes a while, it takes a lot of practice, a lot of seat time. If you have to think about an action you're about to undertake in a truck, all right, then you don't belong in the truck. It has to become very second nature to you. It has to become just a seat-of-the-pants type situation. Sure, you're going to feel the steering in the front, but there's going to be little indicators that tell you what that back end is doing. I, for instance, use my 3 carburetors as kind of a weather vane. I know if my back end is to the right, my carburetors sit to the right. If I'm too far to the left, they sit to the left. I can almost just quickly glance at my carburation and tell whether my back end is straight or not.
You have made every monster truck highlight, video, and film. And not just for winning all the time, but you've had a couple of crashes where you've been upside down on your nose, and it seems like those are always the ones we see. Let's go back to the one you had at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis where you put the truck first on the nose and then on over. Your thoughts? You had to have enough time to think about what was happening.
It happened real fast, but it's like everything else. People tell you when things happen, you know, their life flashed before them. I thought of a lot of things, and I was thinking, how do I get in this predicament? How do I get myself out? I couldn't get myself out because of a mechanical situation, so I had to think of the safety of the fans. Had not the truck rolled over, then I would have to have had jabbed on the brakes to make the truck roll over, so it would not have gotten as far as the seating area where the fans were. So that's the kind of thing that was going through your mind. After it was over, of course, and I was out and had time to reflect on it, you know, a lot of things do go through your mind. What could have happened? Because of the safety equipment that we use on the trucks, I came out okay.
How much of a jarring does the human body take in car crashes or in the races themselves? Despite the safety aspects of the truck, how much are the organs moving around inside the human body?
If it weren't for the safety equipment we use, it'd be a lot worse. But yes, everything gets jarred. The biggest problem, I think, is neck whiplash. You hitting these cars, some of them 40 to 50 miles an hour, there's such an impact at that point that it's very easy to get a neck whiplash. And we wear proper safety equipment, cervical collars that help support helmets and things like that to try to alleviate the problem.
Where do you see monster trucks headed?
As you know, like you stated, monster trucks started out at exhibition. But now monster trucks have gained popularity in their own right. I think we're seeing now, last summer, I think we'll see this summer too, monster truck racing shows, period. You're talking about just monster trucks. They are enough of a draw, enough of an interest to people that they will support themselves. You're going to see a much better breed of monster truck out there running, and you're going to see a much better track, much more controlled, better guidelines, better track timing devices and things like that. It's going to get to be a heck of a lot better race situation with the monster trucks.
Just as any athlete or artist would have their own particular style, so it is with monster truck drivers. So we spent some time talking with the different Bigfoot drivers about their style and asked them what techniques they've picked up over the years to give them that slight edge.
It's hard to tell anybody what you're thinking about when you're sitting on a line, because you're thinking of so much stuff. You know, a lot of times I try to pull up the line and really make sure I'm really ready to go. And sometimes depending on who I'm racing, you know, I like to psych them out a little bit, you know, take a little time, stall, you know, and because just our name will psych a lot of the guys out. A lot of the guys, they know they're racing Bigfoot, and it's rough on them, so it just makes them real nervous. So if you can kind of play with them a little bit, you know, they'll usually psych up and psych out and mess up. But I sit up on the line, you know, once I'm starting to really concentrate now on is the light. Really trying to play the light real close, because it's the light in a lot of the races in these straight courses, the bonsai runs. The light is a big factor. You know, if you can jump the light and play the light real good, you get a good start. Here lately, the races have all been real close. We're all running within a half a second or within 30/100ths of a second of each other, and you know, a lot of it depends on who can get off the line first.
Before the show, you're thinking about the course, how you're going to try it. You watch the other trucks if they're qualifying before you, and you try to figure out what you're going to do. And usually by the time you get you're all suited up and strapped in and stuff, your mind's no longer on anything except for when they start you. And then what goes through your mind from then on, I couldn't really tell you, because it goes so fast. Believe it or not, that's the first time I've ever crushed cars with 48. I felt secure in the truck. I felt more secure in the little truck than I did in the big truck. I don't know why. Just because everything was smaller and fit me closer or what. But we figured out how they was jumping the trucks to get them out so far. When we figured it out, it was too late to jump the big truck, or to do it with the big truck. And the only one we had left to do was the 48. And me and George talked, and I said, well, let's try it. And when we did, and it was unreal. It worked. You know. And I felt very comfortable with the run we laid down. And until I got back, and you know, everybody said, oh, you know, we thought you was gone. And I thought everything laid down real well.